Kerri Ward joins us today. She is a teacher by trade, but she has been home the last 10 years raising her 4 kids and homeschooling. Her family's interest in farming was piqued after spending time with the extended family who farmed themselves. And then they got involved with 4-H. So then they decided, let's just start our own farm. So welcome, Kerri.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit more about yourself, maybe where you grew up, maybe a little about your family, how old your kids are, and things you enjoy doing off the farm outside of that life.
Sure. I'm originally from Wadsworth and Waukegan. That's where I spent my elementary school and high school years and post-high school. So mostly, suburban city living is what I was used to. My husband and I now we live in Wadsworth, but we started out in Waukegan. He's a fireman for the city, and we started out there. We have 4 kids, age 10 through 17, 3 girls and a boy, and so that keeps us busy. Besides the farm, we keep busy. We love to travel. That's always been something that we've done, either to see family or to see just friends and the national parks and anywhere. We love to go. And then the kids are all involved in sports. And so traveling to youth sports is just a weekly, daily event. It's just nonstop.
So it is a full life. And if you're listening and you're not from the Chicago area, those towns she mentioned are in Illinois. So let's talk about the farm that you live on. Let's talk specifically about hobby farming. So when did you guys start your farm?
Yeah, we started in 2016. So almost exactly 5 years ago, we started. The journey started probably about 4 or 5 years before that, with just kind of being interested in saying, hey, this is something kind of interests us. And my husband and I just delving into it more and learning from others.
So in the intro, you said that it was, spending time on a farm of a family member, but what was it about that really kind of, you went, this could be cool?
Yeah, well, I've always loved animals. And so being surrounded by animals was never a bad thing from my point of view. Then my oldest daughter at the time, she wanted a guinea pig. And so, we said, hey, you got to research it. You can't just go to the store and pick one up the day that you say, oh, I want a guinea pig. And so while researching, we went to the fair and we met this teenage girl that was in 4-H and she was showing her rabbits. And we said, well, this is neat. A rabbit's not going to be that much more care than a guinea pig. And you could show it, we could get involved in 4-H. You could show it. They're a little more friendly and cuddly. And so that kind of started it after having different experiences with my husband Scott's uncle raises bees. Another of his uncles raises cattle. His cousin does farming like a CSA where you buy in and then she sells off different shares. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we had gotten all these experiences and just being outside, it being something that the family could enjoy together. The kids loved all of those experiences, whether it was helping Uncle Gunny and Aunt Joan, harvest their honey, or helping his cousin, collect the chickens for the CSA. Any of that was just, it was just nice. It just felt nice to do it as a family.
That's really neat. And so the family obviously lives close enough that you can go do that with them, these other people.
They are actually in upstate New York.
Oh, okay.
But we go out there once or twice a year. So, yeah.
That's great. Cool. So let's talk about the hobby farm. What makes a farm a hobby farm, and how is that different from homesteading? And, do you feel this pressure to earn income from it?
Yeah, a hobby farm is more designated as it's going to be a smaller farm. You know, you're not having hundreds and hundreds of acres, but it's smaller, and really you're just looking to get some joy out of it, maybe fill your freezer, and that's it. Homesteading would be more, again, smaller, not hundreds and hundreds of acres, but you're looking to sustain your lifestyle off of that farm. You're getting 100% of your meat and vegetables, everything that you need. It's self-sustaining on that homestead would be the idea of that. We My husband works, you know, he's a lieutenant in the Waukegan Fire Department, and so that's our main source of income. And this was
Okay.
just something that we were able to enhance our children's education, um, and get us outside and enjoy something together as a family.
So a hobby farm, there's no pressure really. You can kind of make it what you want it to be. It's more about the experience. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So when you guys moved to your property, um, did you have a vision for where you kind of wanted it to go, or did you just kind of go, well, now we've got the space, let's just start with one thing and see what happens?
Yeah, when we were looking for places, we knew we didn't want to go too far. We didn't want to go away from our church. We didn't want to go away from my husband's work. And the property we found just had a house. That's it. It had a house. No outbuildings, no barn, no anything. And so we were really starting from scratch.
Mm.
Um, so the vision kind of changed as we went. We had chickens already. We had already purchased our chickens for the year. We had them. They were little chicks in a brooder. We were trying to sell our other house, and we were trying to hide the chicken and the brooders in the garage while people came in and looked at our house. And um, you know, because we're talking like 40 chickens. Um, so we knew that that was step one. Day one, you know, it was just like, okay. The kids actually didn't even have a bedroom yet because we needed to um, drywall their bedroom and put flooring in and everything. So the kids didn't even have a bedroom yet, but we built the chicken coop because we had all these chickens that needed a place to go. So we knew that was step one. We wanted the barn for goats, but we didn't know what that would look like yet. So
Mhm.
much is available online right now, and we could have never done this 20, 30, 40 years ago without the internet. Right now you can go and there's people blogging on hobby farming. There's people, you know,
Yeah.
all of this data and just rich material and groups that are willing to help you, and you say, oh my
Mm.
goodness, how do I do this? I'm in this trouble. um, and we rely on that a lot, and we utilize that a lot, and those are mentors that can be from across the world that are right at your fingertips. And so we use that a lot, and we were looking to figure out what we were going to keep our goats in. We had goats on another property, and we knew we needed a shelter for them. And that
Mhm.
kind of grew. We're like, okay, we'll build a little barn. They don't need that much space. And everyone's like, well, you always need more than you think. And so that got bigger. And then it was, well, you know, just different mentors coming in and saying, hey, you know, if you sell the property eventually, think about what another person might want that barn for. If they want it for
Yeah.
horses, it has to be 12 feet deep. You know, if they want it for a hayloft, the entry has to be at least 12 feet high. Um, so then we kind of eventually, it took about a year to build the barn and get the
Okay.
goats on the property and a second chicken coop for turkeys. Yeah.
So if you were to go look at property again and do it over, would you prefer to buy something that already had established outbuildings, or do you like the fact, was it nice that you were able to kind of custom design it for what you wanted?
It was nice to kind of custom design it. It was nice to have it in the location where we wanted it, um, and the entrances and exits how we wanted it. And I think, though, I mean, either way, if we had found a property with outbuildings, um, that would have been great too. You know,
Okay.
I just
Yeah.
it yeah, either way, you're going to be putting in time and energy. It's
Okay.
not,
So
it's, yeah.
got
So,
it. So you had the chickens, you had goats elsewhere. You've mentioned you added turkeys. Were the turkeys the next new animal you added, or was there something else before them?
yeah, turkeys actually were with the baby chickens. So we had those,
Okay.
yeah, the
Already. Okay.
chickens and the baby turkeys we had, just little pullets, little babies. Um,
Oh,
so yeah, we had those right away.
okay. So what animals have you added? What do you have now, or what have you had?
Yeah, so right now we have chickens and goats. We've had the turkeys, we've had ducks, and pigs, and we might be doing lamb this year. We might be
Mm,
doing some sheep, and we have bees. Bees is yeah, we have bees. So yeah, so that's kind of where we are, and we started off really big. We just, yeah, let's do it, do it, do it, do it. And you kind of learn like, okay, wait, a step by step, everything takes time, everything takes a learning curve. And so yeah, that's
okay.
it's been a it, it's been a learning curve.
So is that why you don't have some of these animals anymore? You said let's pare back and do these really well before we jump back into more, or why don't you have turkeys and
Yeah. Well, the pigs we will have pigs come next month.
okay,
So we raise those for meat, so we just keep them
short term.
for yeah, short term.
Okay.
The turkeys we don't have right now are one um we've had them for meat before, and we've had them for pet and show. And they've just the meat ones obviously have passed away, and our pet ones that we had from the very beginning have now passed away. So
Okay.
yeah, so and a couple years ago we went really big, had a huge goat breeding season, and that took all of our energy. We had 18 bottle fed baby goat kids, and it, it, yes, that's a lot of bottles, folks. That's a lot of bottles.
Yes.
So,
Oh my goodness. I
yeah,
I don't even want to think about it.
and then ducks are um, ducks that's we just decided to scale back. My husband loves duck eggs, and that's what
Mm,
we're raising them for. But the amount of energy to take care of ducks is high. It's I would say it's probably was is the highest of all the animals we've had. Just because they're so messy, they're so dirty and wet. And so you have to clean them often. We rotate their pastures. We rotate pastures so they don't destroy the land. And
mhm.
we got eggs and we enjoyed that, but we weren't really able to sell any of the eggs too often. So it just became something that we chose to put aside for a little while and focus on other animals.
Well, that makes sense. So is your farm only animals or do you also garden?
It's mostly animals, but we
Okay.
do some gardening. We started with an orchard. Um, so hopefully we'll be producing that soon, as it takes several years to plant a new tree and
Mm.
start seeing produce off of that. So we have a mini orchard, and then my husband's done a garden, but actually with COVID, um, I only like to garden on a raised beds. I
Okay.
don't like all the weeds and everything else associated with just
Mhm.
the in-ground gardening. So we built 3 raised beds during COVID, and we had wonderful tomatoes and zucchini, and some snap peas, and I can't remember what else we had. A lot of tomatoes. We had a lot of tomatoes, and then in the ground we did pumpkins and potatoes, and those were great for just not the raised bed, just in ground. We had like 50 pumpkins,
Oh wow, that's fun.
which is great. I mean, we use the manure from the goats. We clean out
Mhm.
that. We make our garden, and the pumpkins really like it.
Wonderful. And that makes for easy decorating it in the fall and
Yes.
Good
Yeah.
pie. So you're raising meat primarily for consumption then. And
Mhm.
so do you process the chickens yourself? I'm assuming you outsource the pig for processing, but how much of it do you do yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, my husband does any of the poultry. So
Okay.
ducks, chickens, turkeys, he does it all. And we learned that through his cousin who has the CSA, and we were out there helping her, and she's amazing at it. And we just, yeah, learned it. And again, you get some mentors. We had some people come over a couple times that helped him out, and then he was just doing it on his own and does a really good job. So he does all of those. And the pigs, yeah, we take to Lake Geneva Country Meats.
Okay. Yes.
So,
And those I have an appreciation for the processing the poultry because the kids and I had an opportunity to be involved in a co-op where we raise chickens and pigs.
oh
And let
yes,
me tell you, it's work.
yes.
And I told someone recently I was never so happy after that to pay 79 cents a pound for chicken because it's a lot of work.
It is.
So
Yeah,
yeah. Now,
yeah.
you mentioned that, one of the reasons you wanted the hobby farm was to enhance your kids' education and you homeschool them. So, how do you kind of integrate their schooling into this? I kind of envision some really cool, hands-on learning opportunities with animals, especially. But how do you integrate your whole day so that they're doing their chores, they're doing their school, but it's life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they have to, they have their own chores and what they're responsible for. And so they start their day making sure the animals are taken care of. And, we don't get up at 6 a.m. We get up at, like 7:30 and take
Okay.
care of the animals. And then in the evenings again. But sometimes throughout the day, there's things besides those regular food, water that they need to be taken
Mhm.
care of. So they might have to go out and trim the nails. They might have to go out and, um, clean. Obviously, we have to clean out the barns and the coops, and sometimes that's our day. That's what that is. Um, so yeah, there's so many things that they've learned through this experience. Um, even you know, even neutering, neutering the
Mm.
goats or neutering or tattooing or breeding. My daughter did a lot of work looking at genetics and finding animals that would breed well together in order to bring up her show stock to make really great animals that kind of abide by the rules of show for those show animals, kind of how you see the kennel club, the AKC club on for dogs. There's shows for goats, and so they need to be those top quality and um, look right in all the ways that that breed is supposed to look right. Um, and they've milked. They can easily out milk a goat. Past me. They're way better at it than I am. So there's so many different things, and even giving shots and health care for the
Mm.
animals. So there definitely is um, the biology aspect and the aspect of um, how do you care for animals? How do you care for animals that you're going to eat? How do you care for animals that you're going to sell? And
Mhm.
the business aspect of it. So my older daughter created our website. She's in charge of all of our selling of animals, and she will talk to people, and she's very knowledgeable. And um, adults will just call, and then they'll say like, "Wow, your daughter did a great job letting us know and
Mhm.
giving us all this information, and even teaching us stuff." So yeah, there's a lot of learning that goes on um, when you get into farming.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. Well, you mentioned the showing. Is that something you do through 4-H? And why don't you tell me what 4-H is and how you guys got started in it?
Yeah. Um, 4-H is a national, even international, I think maybe organization, and it has its roots in agriculture, but it's the whole premise of it is to get kids to be leaders and to get kids learning about just a vast array of subjects. So now, whether you're a city kid, whether you're a country kid, you can be involved in 4-H and not have animals, not have a garden, not have anything. You can do robotics. My son's done rocketry. My girls have done photography. There's, web design. There's, of course, all the visual arts, painting and whatever. The kids all did taking old furniture
Mhm.
and rehabbing it. They did that last year to show at the fair. So there's so many different opportunities, and it's a great place to start. It's a great place to go and learn, and they just really build kids up to want to be leaders and um, to take responsibility for things. And I've loved just the group that the group of kids that my kids have gotten involved with there have just been really great kids, great leaders, great um, yeah, just kind of kids who love to learn about
Yeah.
different things. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Well, I love that. I love that idea of helping them learn to take responsibility, for the whole thing. So when they rehab furniture, were they just refinishing it or were they kind of repurposing it and giving it taking something and making something new out of it?
Yeah, it depended. My son did an old actual doll bed, and he, just sanded it down and painted it. He actually made the new cushions and stuff for that. Another daughter took a chair and made it into an outdoor planter.
Mhm.
So it took the seat out and made that a planter. Um, Another took like an old piano bench and made that just a bench for her room. So yeah, you can do
Oh,
anything though.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's really neat.
So there's
Now you
fashion stuff in there too.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fun. So
Yeah,
really, I mean, like you said, anybody, anywhere. It's not just a farm organization, which is what I think of when I
absolutely.
hear 4-H. So now
Yeah.
you mentioned that your family enjoys traveling, and you've mentioned that the animals take a lot of time. So how do you combine those two things?
Yeah. Um, well, the ducks used to take care of everyone when we were gone, but now that we don't have the ducks, no, we we've just built up those support systems around us, and so we've had different families come in. Our mentor, our goat mentor to begin with, she would come, and now we have a family who we've been close to that just lives a mile down the road, and they have some animals, and so we just trade off and on. So it's like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm going to be gone this weekend. Can you watch our animals? And we just swap. So
Oh,
that's been a blessing because it's hard if you don't have someone. um you need a physical body to do it, right?
yeah.
But B, you need somebody who knows a little bit about the caretaking of a specific animal.
Yeah.
So that that and isn't scared to walk
Yeah.
in a pen of 18 large goats, and with
Yeah.
them all coming up to you because they all want love, and yeah.
That's
So
right. So I would not be your girl for the job. I'm just saying.
yeah.
Oh, well, and I know that you enjoy sharing the farm with other people and sharing the animals. And one year, and we still talk about it, you brought your animals to our backyard for our
Yeah.
son's birthday party, which was the only year that absolutely every person I invited to the party said yes. So it was a real draw. But what are some other ways that you use your farm and invite people in? And I'm going to assume in regular times, not COVID times.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, we've brought our animals out, to our church for our Easter celebrations. We've
Mm,
brought them to other schools. Um, like Woodlands has had a exploration day, I believe, where
mhm.
they bring in different people, and so there's other things going on and then in the classrooms, and the kids just kind of travel around, and they come out to the outdoor area, and we have the animals there where we teach them about farming and the animals, and there's been a couple schools we've done that with. Um, yeah, sometimes, every once in a while, we're not advertising for it or anything, but every once in a while we've done a birthday party or had people over just to visit. We
Mhm.
homeschool, so we're um, associated with a few co-ops,
Mhm.
and so which are groups of homeschooling families. And so we've brought animals there, and we've also had those families come to the farm and come. We've had a like a teen mom group come
Mhm.
out and be able to enjoy the farm with their kids. And um, so it's really, God's just blessed us with different families and different opportunities to use the farm.
Yeah.
So
And you've done some farm camps in the summer too.
we do occasionally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, COVID.
That's right. That's right. So,
But
yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Well, I think that's really cool. So, knowing what you know now, if a mom listening is thinking, I'd kind of like to do this, what would you tell her about getting started? So, like, what comes first, buying land or trying out an animal?
Yeah, I definitely think the research. Surround yourself with as many mentors as you can. And remember that those don't have to be someone that you can, physically reach out and touch and
Mm,
can physically come to your house. It's good to have a few of those. But there's so many Facebook groups, so many blogs, so much on YouTube. My husband would make dinner and he'd have the YouTube going. Um,
mhm,
just soaking it in
mhm,
and getting those experiences. We did 4-H for, I think we ran it 3 or 4 years before um, we we had our own farm. I think we did goats 3 or 4 years before we had our own farm. Um, and so, that was an experience where we were able to go to someone else's house and get that opportunity. And then I would say, if you're doing it for your kids, be aware that kids go through stages, right?
yeah.
So your kid that's like, yes, I want a chicken, or yes, I want a goat, you know, might not be that kid in 2 years, and you're still going to have those animals in that farm.
Mm,
So, the parents have to have buy-in and realize it's a lot of work and it's long term. And, we have my eldest daughter is, she wants to go pre-vet. She loves showing. She's the youth rep for the American Dairy Goat Association, and she shows animals. She'll go to the national show and regional shows. So that's showing through 4-H and through these outside organizations. Um, my other kids have different levels of interest in it, and that have kind of ebbed and flowed. So you just kind of really have to be prepared and think long term.
Okay. So, what I heard you say was it's good to try out animals in some way. Make sure it's not just your kid's dream and be ready to do it long term.
Yes.
Okay. Well, good. Well, this has been really interesting. I'm a city girl, so this is not stuff that, I'm well acquainted with, but our time is coming to a close. And one thing that I like to ask every guest is it's a little more lighthearted. It's what is your favorite gadget?
Ooh. Okay, my favorite gadgets, I guess, if my kids were to say, would be the Pampered Chef ground beef masher. Like,
Okay.
have you seen that? It
Yes.
mashes up the ground beef. I love that thing. I think there's knockoffs of it now, but I love that thing. The
Yep. I
second
have.
thing, yeah, you have it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is.
And
It's great.
the second thing would be that my kids would definitely say, because I'm kind of a freak about it sometimes, is a T square, which is a it's
Oh.
basically wood that goes this way
Mhm.
and makes a T. And so when you're doing poster boards, science fair projects, any of that
Yes.
stuff, you can put it on there and you can make a straight line. And my dad was a graphic artist, and so I grew up with one. And yeah, and so I'm like, why would you do anything without it?
Right? Now that you mentioned that, I'm thinking, do you know how many things would have been so much easier to do if I'd had something like that?
Yes.
Well, that's great. Well, Kerri, how can people connect with you, find your website, or do you have an Instagram account?
Yeah, my daughter runs all that. And we have a website at www.jamexfarm.com. And Jamex is JAMEKS.com. Yeah.
Excellent. And that is all of your initials, right? In your
It
family?
is. Yes, it
That's
is.
fun. I love that. So
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, thanks so much for being here. And thanks for sharing about your hobby farm.
Thank you for the invite. It's been fun.